I found the email at 11:47 p.m. on Christmas Eve, sitting in my work inbox like a piece of coal in a stocking. Subject: Compensation Review, Immediate Action Required. Effective immediately, your Q1 bonus and promotion to Senior Director have been suspended pending resolution of interpersonal conduct issues. Please contact HR to schedule a formal apology session with Ms. Jennifer Blake before resuming normal compensation track. Philip Hutchinson, CEO. Philip Hutchinson, my brother-in-law, the man who'd stood beside me at my wedding 4 years ago, promising eternal brotherhood over expensive whiskey. The same man who now ran Hutchinson Palmer Financial, the private equity firm where I'd spent the last 6 years climbing from analyst to director. I read it 3 times in the dim light of our bedroom, my wife Emily asleep beside me, her breathing soft and even. Through the window, snow fell on our suburban Connecticut neighborhood, covering everything in that perfect Christmas silence that makes you believe in second chances. I didn't believe in second chances anymore. The interpersonal conduct issue had occurred 5 hours earlier at the Hutchinson family Christmas party. Jennifer Blake, Philip's girlfriend of approximately 6 weeks, had cornered me in the kitchen while I was refilling my drink. She'd had too much champagne and not enough boundaries. "You know what your problem is?" she'd said, leaning against the counter in her tight red dress. "You're too serious. Philip says you never relax, never have fun." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. "I have plenty of fun," I'd replied, trying to step around her. She'd blocked my path, one hand on my chest. "Prove it. Dance with me. I'm married." So is half the office. Doesn't stop them from being interesting. That's when Emily had walked in, carrying dirty plates from the dining room. She'd frozen in the doorway, seeing Jennifer's hand on my chest, my uncomfortable expression. For one terrible second, I'd watched my wife's face transform from holiday cheer to something colder. Then her mother had called from the other room, and Emily had simply turned and left. I'd removed Jennifer's hand and excused myself. Found Emily in the bathroom upstairs, staring at her reflection in the mirror. "It's not what it looked like," I'd said. "I know." Her voice had been flat, distant. "Jennifer's been drinking. She gets handsy." "You've seen her do this before?" "Philip thinks it's charming, says she's just affectionate." Emily had turned to face me, and I'd seen something in her eyes I didn't recognize. "Just stay away from her, okay? Don't make trouble." We'd left the party 20 minutes later. The drive home had been silent. Now, sitting in bed with Philip's email glowing on my phone screen, I understood. Jennifer had gone to Philip after we left, spun some story about me making her uncomfortable. And Philip, who'd been looking for ways to assert his authority over me since he'd taken over as CEO 18 months ago, had seen his opportunity. Apologized to the woman who'd been hitting on me, or lose the promotion I'd earned. The bonus that would have paid for Emily's graduate school. The career advancement I'd been working toward since before Philip had even joined the company. I looked at my sleeping wife. At the framed photo on her nightstand, our wedding day, all smiles and hope. At the life we'd built in this house, in this town, orbiting her family like a moon around a planet. Then I looked back at the email. I hit reply and typed 2 words. "All right." I sent it at 11:52 p.m. Then I opened my laptop and started packing. The Hutchinson family home sat on 3 acres in Westport, all glass and modern architecture, the kind of place that appeared in design magazines under headlines like New England Elegance Redefined. I'd spent countless weekends there over the past 4 years. Sunday dinners, birthday celebrations, the elaborate parties Philip's mother insisted on throwing for every conceivable occasion. Now, at 7 in the morning on Christmas Day, I pulled my rental car into the circular driveway and shut off the engine. Emily hadn't woken when I'd left our house at 6. I'd packed everything I needed into 2 suitcases, enough for an indefinite stay abroad, and left a note on the kitchen counter. At your parents' house. We need to talk. The front door opened before I could knock. Thomas Hutchinson, Emily's father and the firm's founder, stood in the doorway wearing a bathrobe and an expression of pure confusion. David, what are you doing here? It's Christmas morning. I need to speak with you and Philip. It's important. Something in my voice must have registered, because Thomas stepped aside without argument. I followed him through the marble foyer into the study, the same room where he'd offered me my first job at the firm, where he'd shaken my hand and welcomed me into the family. Philip was already there, sitting in one of the leather chairs with a cup of coffee, looking annoyingly refreshed for someone who'd been up late sending career-ending emails. He saw me and smiled. David, Merry Christmas. I assume you got my message? I did. And? Have you thought about what we discussed? Thomas looked between us, frowning. What message? What's going on? I pulled out my phone, opened the email, and handed it to Thomas. Watched his face as he read. Watched the color drain from his cheeks. Philip, he said quietly. What is this? A necessary correction. Philip set down his coffee cup. Jennifer came to me last night very upset. David made her uncomfortable at the party, made inappropriate comments. I can't have that kind of behavior from someone in senior leadership. That's not what happened, I said. Jennifer wouldn't lie. Jennifer was hitting on me. Emily saw it. Your mother probably saw it too if she was paying attention. Philip's smile didn't waver. That's quite an accusation. Do you have proof? Do you? I have Jennifer's account, and I have the authority as CEO to make personnel decisions, including suspending promotions for conduct issues. Thomas was still staring at the phone. You sent this on Christmas Eve? The issue needed to be addressed immediately. By suspending his bonus, his promotion? Thomas looked at me. David, I apologize. This is completely inappropriate. I'll fix this right now. Don't, I said. Both men looked at me. I'm not interested in apologies or fixes, I continued. I just wanted to give you this. I pulled a folded document from my jacket pocket and placed it on the desk. My resignation. Effective immediately. Thomas grabbed the paper. David, no. You can't. This is a misunderstanding. Philip made a mistake. We'll correct it. It's not about the email. I turned to Philip. It's about respect. I've worked for this company for 6 years, brought in 3 major clients, structured the Pemberton deal that saved the firm when the market crashed, and you suspend my promotion because your girlfriend lied about me? She didn't lie. Then let's ask Emily, right now. Let's go wake her up and ask what she saw. Philip's jaw tightened. My sister is not part of this discussion. Exactly. Because if she were, you'd have to admit that Jennifer's version doesn't match reality. But you don't care about reality. You care about control. I looked at Thomas. I respected you. You were a mentor. But I won't work for a company where family politics matter more than competence. David, please. Thomas stood, his face pale. Don't do this. Not like this. Take some time. Think it over. We'll sort everything out after the holidays. I've already sorted it. I pulled out my phone again, opened my email, and showed him the screen. I sent my resignation to HR at midnight. Copied the board. It's already processed. The silence in the room was absolute. Then Philip stood slowly, his smile finally gone. You sent it to the board? All 12 members, including your Uncle Richard. The one who thinks you're too inexperienced to be CEO, the one who voted against your appointment. Thomas's phone started buzzing, then Philip's. Both men pulled out their devices, staring at the screens. 47 emails, Philip whispered, from board members, from clients. What did you? I didn't do anything except resign. Whatever they're emailing about must be something else. But I knew what they were reading. I'd spent the last 6 hours drafting and sending a series of carefully worded messages to key stakeholders. Nothing inflammatory, nothing actionable, just professional notifications that I was leaving the firm, with subtle hints that the decision wasn't entirely voluntary. Enough to make people ask questions. Enough to make Philip's position uncomfortable. Thomas was reading his phone, his face getting redder. Richard wants an emergency board meeting. He's asking about irregularities in executive decision-making. He wants to review recent personnel actions. That's unfortunate, I said. Merry Christmas. I turned toward the door. Wait, Thomas's voice cracked. David, please, tell me you didn't send the other thing. I stopped, turned back. What other thing? Thomas looked at Philip, then back to me. His hands were shaking. The transfer. Please tell me you didn't actually send it. Philip had gone very still. What transfer? The one you approved 3 months ago, Thomas said quietly, when you were trying to impress the board with your initiative. The exchange program with our affiliate in the UK. You signed off on David moving to head the operations team at our new office there, remember? You said it would be good for company morale, show that you rewarded talent. I hadn't known about any such program until 3 days ago, when I'd found the memo in the shared drive while preparing a year-end report. Philip had indeed signed off on it, probably without reading the details, in one of his early attempts to appear decisive as CEO. The program had never been implemented. No one had been transferred, until now. I accepted the position last night, I said. Sent the paperwork to HR and the UK office. They've been trying to fill that role for months. They approved it immediately. Philip's breath came out in a sharp exhale. You can't. That office doesn't even report to this division anymore. We restructured. The restructuring doesn't take effect until January 15th. I checked. Right now the program is still active and my transfer is valid. I looked at Thomas. Your son gave me the opportunity. I just took it. When? Thomas's voice was barely a whisper. When do you leave? My flight is at noon. Today? The UK office needs someone immediately. They said I could start next week. I'm flying out today to find housing. Philip's face had gone white. You can't do this. You're under contract, non-compete clause. You can't just... I'm still with Hutchinson and Palmer, just a different office, different country. The contract allows for internal transfers. You approved the program yourself. Thomas sat down heavily. Emily? Does Emily know? Not yet. I was going to tell her this morning. You were going to tell your wife that you're moving to another country on Christmas morning? No, I said. I was going to tell her that her brother suspended my career over a lie and that I found a way out. What she does with that information is up to her. Philip stood abruptly. This is insane. You're throwing away your marriage because of a simple misunderstanding? I'm protecting my career from someone who values his girlfriend's ego over his employee's work. There's a difference. The board won't allow this. They'll block the transfer. On what grounds? That the CEO made a bad decision approving the program? That'll go over well. I headed for the door again. Enjoy your Christmas. I need to go talk to my wife. David. Thomas's voice stopped me one more time. Please, don't do this to Emily. Whatever issues you have with Philip, she doesn't deserve this. I thought about Emily telling me to stay away from Jennifer, to not make trouble. About the way she'd looked at me in the bathroom mirror, like I was the problem for being uncomfortable with another woman's hands on my chest. You're right, I said. She doesn't deserve any of this, but here we are. I left before either of them could respond. Emily's car was in our driveway when I got home. She was standing in the kitchen, still in her pajamas, holding my note. You left, she said, on Christmas morning. I had to talk to your father. About what? David, what's going on? I told her. All of it. The email, my resignation, the transfer to the UK. I watched her face as I spoke, watched the shock give way to confusion, give way to something harder. You quit your job, she said slowly. You quit your job and accepted a position in another country without talking to me first. Your brother suspended my promotion without talking to you first. That's not the same thing. We're married. We make decisions together. Do we? Because yesterday you told me not to make trouble. Like keeping my promotion and bonus was less important than keeping peace with your family. Her face flushed. That's not fair. Isn't it? Jennifer hit on me, Emily. Your brother's girlfriend put her hands on me at a family party, and when he punished me for it, you told me to stay quiet. I told you to stay away from her. That's different. Is it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like your family expects me to absorb whatever they dish out and smile through it. Your father treats me like a promising employee. Your brother treats me like a rival. Your mother treats me like nice wallpaper. And you treat me like someone who should be grateful to be part of the Hutchinson family. That's not true. Then why didn't you defend me last night? Why didn't you say anything when Jennifer was all over me? Because she was drinking. Because making a scene would have made everything worse. For who? For me? Or for you? Emily set down the note, her hands trembling. I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you're blowing up our life over a stupid email. It's not about the email. It's about what the email represents. Your brother thinks he can control me because I'm married to you. He thinks family connection gives him the right to manipulate my career, and apparently he's right. So you're leaving. You're just giving up. I'm accepting a transfer within the same company. If you want to come with me, we can make it work. The UK office is in the city center. Good schools nearby. Your graduate program has a campus there. You could transfer. Transfer my entire life because you and Philip had a fight? This isn't a fight. This is your brother abusing his position because I wouldn't let his girlfriend cross boundaries. Emily's eyes filled with tears. You're asking me to choose between you and my family. I'm asking you to choose between what's right and what's comfortable. That's not fair. Neither is suspending someone's promotion on Christmas Eve because your girlfriend lied. The doorbell rang. Emily wiped her eyes. That's probably my parents. It was. Thomas and Philip stood on the porch, both looking like they'd aged 10 years in the last hour. Behind them, I could see Margaret Hutchinson getting out of a car, Emily's mother, her face tight with the kind of controlled fury she reserved for social emergencies. May we come in? Thomas asked. Emily stepped aside. I didn't move from the kitchen. They filed into the living room. Margaret went straight to Emily, hugging her, whispering something in her ear. Thomas and Philip stood awkwardly by the fireplace. David, Thomas began, we need to talk about this rationally. You're making a decision that affects a lot of people. I made a decision that affects me. Everyone else is just caught in the blast radius. Don't be dramatic, Margaret said sharply. You're not a victim here. You're throwing a tantrum because you didn't get your way. Mother, Emily said quietly. No, let me speak. This is ridiculous. Philip made a personnel decision. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but he's the CEO. He has the right to manage his employees as he sees fit. You don't respond by abandoning your wife and running off to another country. I didn't abandon anyone. I accepted a transfer. On Christmas Day, without telling your wife. Your son sent me a career-ending email on Christmas Eve, without checking with his father. Seems like poor timing runs in the family. Philip stepped forward. Listen, I overreacted. I admit it. Jennifer said some things, I believed them, and I acted too quickly. I'm sorry. Let's fix this. Come back to the firm. We'll restore your promotion, your bonus, everything. And Jennifer? His jaw tightened. What about her? Does she apologize too? Does she admit she lied? She didn't lie. She just interpreted things differently. Then we have nothing to talk about. David, please. Emily's voice broke. Please don't do this. We can work it out. All of us. Together. I looked at my wife. At the tears on her face. At her mother's arm around her shoulders. The way Margaret was already pulling her closer. already drawing her back into the family circle that had never quite had room for me. "I love you," I said. "But I'm done being the outsider who has to prove himself worthy of belonging. I'm done taking blame for things I didn't do. I'm done watching your family treat me like a useful accessory that can be shelved when it becomes inconvenient." "That's not how we treat you," Thomas said. "Isn't it? Tell me, Thomas. In 6 years, have you ever sided with me over Philip? Ever told him he was wrong? Ever suggested that maybe, just maybe, I deserve the same respect he gets by default?" The silence answered for him. I didn't think so. I looked at Emily one more time. "I'm leaving for the UK in 3 hours. If you want to come, I'll wait. If you don't, I understand. But I'm done apologizing for things I didn't do. I'm done making myself smaller so everyone else can be comfortable." "You're being selfish," Margaret said. "Maybe. Or maybe I'm just done being a doormat." I walked upstairs to get my bags. Emily didn't follow. The airport was crowded with holiday travelers, people hugging loved ones, children excited about trips, couples arguing about forgotten passports. I sat in the departure lounge with my boarding pass and a coffee, watching planes take off into the gray December sky. My phone had been buzzing steadily since I'd left the house. Texts from Emily, voicemails from Thomas, 3 missed calls from numbers I didn't recognize. I ignored all of them. At 11:30, a new email arrived. From Richard Hutchinson, Thomas's brother, Philip's uncle, the board member who'd opposed Philip's appointment as CEO. Subject: urgent, board meeting. Tomorrow. "David, I've been trying to reach you. The board is convening an emergency meeting tomorrow morning to discuss recent events. Your resignation raised serious questions about Philip's leadership and decision-making. Several board members are concerned about the circumstances surrounding your departure. We'd like you to attend via video conference if possible. Your perspective would be valuable. Please call me. Richard." I read it twice. Then I called him. "David." Richard's voice was warm, professorial. He'd been a mentor to me in my early years at the firm, before semi-retiring to the board. "Thank you for calling. I know this must be a difficult day." "What's going on, Richard?" "Honestly, the board is spooked. Your resignation email was professional, but people read between the lines. Then when they started asking questions and learned about Philip's email to you about the circumstances, well, there are concerns." "About what?" "About whether Philip is ready to lead the firm. About whether personal relationships are influencing business decisions. About whether we can trust his judgment." He paused. "David, I'm going to be frank with you. There's a faction on the board that's been waiting for Philip to make a mistake big enough to justify removing him. This might be that mistake." My flight was boarding in 20 minutes. I watched a family walk past, the father carrying a sleeping child, the mother pushing a stroller. "What do you want from me?" I asked. "The truth, about what happened, about whether Philip's decision was justified." "And if I tell you it wasn't?" "Then we'll have a difficult conversation with Thomas about his son's future at the company." I thought about Philip's face that morning, about his casual cruelty, his assumption that he could rewrite my career on a whim, about the way he'd smiled when he'd asked if I'd thought about what we discussed. Then I thought about Emily, about the way she'd looked at me when I'd told her I was leaving, about the choice she'd have to make if Philip lost his position because of me. "Richard," I said, "I appreciate the call, but I'm not interested in being part of a board power struggle. Philip made a bad decision. I responded by taking a transfer that was already approved. That's all there is to it. David, this is bigger than—" "No, it's not. It's exactly that simple. Philip and I had a disagreement. I chose to resolve it by accepting a position in another office. If the board has concerns about his leadership, that's between you and him. Leave me out of it." "You're letting him off the hook." "I'm letting myself off the hook. I don't want to spend the next 6 months being deposed by lawyers and questioned by board members about family drama. I want to do my job, in a different country, away from all of this. Richard was quiet for a moment. You're a better man than I would be in your position, or a more tired one. Emily's lucky to have you. I wasn't sure that was true anymore, but I didn't say so. After I hung up, I sat there for another minute, watching people board the plane. My phone buzzed again. Emily's name on the screen. I answered. David. Her voice was thick with tears. Please don't go. Please. We can fix this. I'll talk to Philip. I'll make him understand. Just please don't get on that plane. Emily, I love you. I know I didn't say that earlier. I know I wasn't supportive. But I love you, and I don't want our marriage to end like this. I love you too. That's why I'm getting on the plane. That doesn't make sense. It does. Because if I stay, I'll resent you. I'll resent your family. I'll resent every dinner, every holiday, every time Philip makes a decision that affects my life. And eventually, that resentment will destroy us. But if I go, if I take this job and prove I don't need your family's company to succeed, maybe we have a chance. What kind of chance? You'll be 4,000 miles away. Then come with me. Take a semester off. Apply to the program there. We'll make it an adventure. I can't just leave my family. And I can't just stay and pretend everything's fine. The gate agent announced final boarding. I have to go, I said. I'll call you when I land. David, I love you, Emily, but I'm done being someone I'm not to fit into your family's picture. I hung up and boarded the plane. The UK office was smaller than I'd expected, just 14 people in a converted warehouse space in East London, all chrome and exposed brick and windows overlooking the Thames. The team was young, ambitious, hungry to prove themselves separate from the American parent company. They were also desperate for leadership. The last director quit 6 months ago, explained James Whitmore, the office manager who'd picked me up from my hotel. Said he couldn't handle the time zone difference, the cultural barriers, the pressure. Since then, we've been floundering, losing clients, missing targets. Your transfer was approved so quickly because we're drowning. I spent the first week assessing the damage. It was worse than I'd thought. The office had lost 3 major clients in the past 6 months. Revenue was down 40%. Half the staff was updating their resumes. But the underlying work was solid. The team knew their business. They just needed direction, structure, someone to fight for them with the main office. I could do that. I threw myself into the work. 16-hour days, client meetings, strategy sessions, slowly rebuilding what had been lost. I barely had time to think about Emily, about Connecticut, about the life I'd left behind. Emily called every day. At first, the conversations were tense, full of long silences and careful words. Then gradually, they softened. She told me about her classes, her job search, the way her family was fracturing in my absence. Philip and Dad aren't speaking, she said one night, her voice small through the phone. The board really did convene that meeting. They didn't remove him, but they put him on probation, limited his authority. Dad's furious that Philip's actions led to this. Mom's caught in the middle. I'm sorry. Are you? Because it sounds like you got exactly what you wanted. Philip's suffering. The family's suffering. You're off in another country starting fresh. That's not fair. Isn't it? You said you were tired of being an outsider. Now you've made sure you always will be. I didn't do this, Emily. Philip did. You made it worse. You could have just quit, just moved on. But you had to make sure everyone knew why. Had to make sure the board questioned his leadership. Had to make sure the whole family imploded. I told Richard not to use my resignation as ammunition. But you knew they would. You're too smart not to have known. Her voice cracked. I thought you loved me. I do. Then why does it feel like you're punishing me for Philip's mistakes? I didn't have an answer for that. In the 3rd week, Thomas called. David, it's Thomas. Do you have a moment? I was in the office, reviewing contracts, the Thames gray outside my window. Of course. I wanted to apologize, properly, for how this all played out. Philip was wrong. I should have seen it immediately. Should have stopped it before you felt compelled to leave. Thank you. The board meeting was difficult. There were calls for Philip's removal. I managed to prevent that, but his authority is significantly curtailed now. He's essentially CEO in title only. Every major decision has to go through a committee. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? Because you orchestrated it fairly masterfully. I didn't. Yes, you did. You knew exactly how your resignation would be received, exactly what questions it would raise. You're a strategist, David. You think 3 moves ahead. You knew the board would react this way. He wasn't wrong, but admitting it felt like confirming that I'd wanted to destroy Philip, when really I'd just wanted to escape him. I'm doing good work here, I said. The office was failing. It's stabilizing now. Client retention is up. We're bringing in new business. That's all I'm focused on. I know. Richard's been singing your praises. Says you've turned the place around in 3 weeks. Thomas paused. Emily's miserable. I know that too. Are you coming back? For holidays? For anything? I don't know. She's your wife. She's also a Hutchinson. And right now, I'm not sure those 2 things can coexist in my life. Thomas was quiet for a long moment. I thought you were different. Thought you understood that family means sacrifice. Compromise. I do understand that, but it can't all be one-sided. I can't be the only one sacrificing, the only one compromising. So what happens now? I do my job. Emily figures out what she wants, and we see if there's still a marriage worth saving. After he hung up, I stood at the window for a long time, watching boats move up and down the Thames, carrying people to destinations I couldn't see. The breakthrough came in week 5. I was working late, reviewing a potential merger between 2 tech startups, the kind of deal that could put the UK office back on the map. My phone rang. Emily's mother. David. Margaret's voice was cold. We need to talk. About what? About Jennifer. About the real reason you left. My stomach tightened. I already explained. I know what you explained. I want to tell you what I found out. She paused. Jennifer's been sleeping with one of Philip's senior managers. Has been for 3 months. Philip found out last week. He's devastated. I sat down slowly. Why are you telling me this? Because it means you were right. About her. About what happened at the party. She was hitting on you, wasn't she? And when you rejected her, she went to Philip and lied to protect herself. Yes. And Philip believed her because he's an idiot who thinks with his ego instead of his brain. Margaret's voice cracked. My son ruined your career over a woman who was cheating on him. He destroyed his own authority, his relationship with his father, his sister's marriage, all to defend someone who was betraying him. Margaret, no, let me finish. I've been angry at you for weeks. Thought you were being childish, vindictive. But you weren't. You were protecting yourself from people who didn't respect you enough to believe you. And I'm sorry. I'm so deeply sorry. I didn't know what to say. Emily doesn't know yet, Margaret continued. About Jennifer, I mean. Philip's trying to keep it quiet. But she needs to know. She needs to understand that you weren't overreacting, that you were right to leave. Will you tell her? I think it should come from you. After Margaret hung up, I sat in the empty office, processing. Then I called Emily. Hey, she answered. She sounded tired. Hey, how are you? Same as yesterday, missing you, trying to figure out how we got here. I know how we got here, but now I know why. I told her about Margaret's call, about Jennifer's affair, about everything it confirmed. Emily was quiet for a long time. I should have believed you, she finally said. At the party, when I saw her touching you. I knew something was off, but I convinced myself I was overreacting, that I should trust Philip's judgment of her character. You were in an impossible position. No, I was a coward. I chose family harmony over my husband's truth, and I've been paying for it ever since. We both have. I want to come see you, she said suddenly. I want to fly out this weekend, see your office, see your apartment, see the life you're building without me. It's not without you. It's just separate. That's the same thing, David. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. Come, I said. Please, let's figure this out together. Emily arrived on Friday night. I picked her up from Heathrow, and when I saw her coming through arrivals with her carry-on bag and tired eyes, something in my chest loosened. We didn't talk much on the drive into the city, just held hands in the car, letting the silence say what words couldn't. My apartment was small, a one-bedroom in Shoreditch with a view of nothing special, but it was mine. The first place I'd lived in years that didn't feel like an extension of the Hutchinson family sphere. Emily set down her bag and looked around. It's nice. It's functional. It's yours. Yeah. She turned to face me. I've been thinking about what you said, about being an outsider, about always having to prove yourself. And you're right. We did that to you. I did that to you. Emily, no, let me say this. I spent so much energy trying to make everyone happy, my parents, Philip, you, that I never stopped to ask what I wanted, what kind of marriage I wanted, what kind of life. She stepped closer. I don't want you to come back to Connecticut. Not yet. Not until we figure out how to be partners instead of you being an appendage to my family. What does that mean? It means I'm applying to transfer to the graduate program here. I'm looking for jobs here. I'm moving here, David. Not because you're forcing me to choose, but because I'm choosing you. I'm choosing us. I pulled her close, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like we might actually survive this. Philip's empire crumbled in stages. First, Jennifer left him publicly, announcing on social media that she was dating the senior manager, posting photos of them together, acting like Philip had never existed. The humiliation was total. Then, the board formally stripped his CEO title, keeping him on as a vice president with limited authority. Thomas resumed operational control, damage control, trying to salvage what Philip's incompetence had nearly destroyed. Then, the lawsuits started. 3 former employees filed complaints about hostile work environment. 2 cited favoritism toward Jennifer. 1 specifically mentioned the incident at the Christmas party, claiming they'd witnessed Jennifer's behavior and Philip's subsequent retaliation against me as evidence of erratic leadership. The firm settled quietly, but the damage was done. Clients started jumping ship. Investors got nervous. The company Thomas had spent 40 years building was bleeding money and reputation. And through it all, I worked. I rebuilt the UK office client by client, deal by deal. Proved that I didn't need the Hutchinson name to succeed. Proved that I was valuable on my own merit. Emily moved to London in March. She enrolled in her graduate program, found a job at a small consulting firm, slowly built a life that belonged to both of us instead of just her family. We had dinner in our small apartment one night in April, Chinese takeout and cheap wine, and she said, "Do you regret it? Any of it?" No. Not even the hard parts? Especially not the hard parts. Those taught me who I was without your family defining me. And who are you? Still figuring that out. She smiled. Good. Me too. In May, Thomas called again. David, I need a favor. What kind of favor? Philip's stepping down. Fully. Permanently. We're restructuring the entire executive team. I want you to come back as COO. Real authority, real compensation, a seat on the board. Thomas, before you say no, hear me out. I know we failed you. I know Philip failed you. But the company needs someone who understands both offices, both cultures. Someone who can bridge the gap. That's you. I have a life here now. Keep it. Run operations from London. Fly back quarterly for board meetings. We'll make it work. He paused. Please, David. I'm asking not just as your former boss, but as someone who's watched you build something remarkable out of ruins. We need that skill. I need that skill. I looked at Emily, curled up on the couch with a textbook. She glanced up, questioning. Can I think about it? I asked Thomas. Of course. But David, thank you for not hanging up immediately. That's more grace than we deserve. After I hung up, Emily said, "Are you considering it?" I don't know. Part of me wants to say no on principle. But part of me wonders if there's something satisfying about going back as the person they need instead of the person they tolerated. That's a power trip. Maybe, or maybe it's closure. What would you want if you went back? I thought about it. Philip can't be there, not in any capacity. If I'm coming back, it's to run operations my way without interference, without family politics. You'd be asking my father to fire my brother. I'd be asking your father to remove someone who's already destroyed his own position. There's a difference. Emily was quiet. Then she said, "Do it." What? Tell them your terms. Make them choose. Either they value competence over family loyalty, or they don't. But make them choose explicitly. You're okay with that? Philip nearly destroyed my marriage. He nearly destroyed my father's company. He definitely destroyed his own credibility. I love him, but I'm not going to protect him from consequences anymore. She met my eyes. And neither should you. The board meeting was scheduled for June 15th. I flew back to Connecticut for the first time since Christmas, Emily beside me on the plane. We stayed in a hotel. Not with her parents. Not in our old house, which we'd been renting out. Somewhere neutral. The morning of the meeting, Thomas met me for breakfast. "You're really going to make me do this," he said. "I'm really going to make you choose between a son who damaged the company and an employee who rebuilt it. Yes. He's family. So am I, or I was supposed to be." Thomas stared at his coffee. "Philip's a mess. The therapy isn't helping. Jennifer's engagement announcement broke something in him. He's talking about leaving the country, starting over somewhere new. That might be the healthiest thing he could do. He's my son. I know. And I'm not asking you to stop loving him. I'm asking you to stop letting him destroy what you built." The boardroom was exactly as I remembered. Long table, leather chairs, windows overlooking Westport. 12 board members, including Richard, who nodded at me when I entered. Thomas stood at the head of the table. "Thank you all for coming. As you know, we're here to discuss restructuring and David's potential return to the firm." For the next 2 hours, we talked terms. My authority as COO, my compensation, my autonomy in running the UK office and integrating operations. Then Richard asked the question everyone was avoiding. "What about Philip?" "Philip will remain as a shareholder," Thomas said carefully, "but he'll no longer have operational responsibilities." "Will he have an office here?" "No." "Will he have any title?" Thomas looked at me, then back at Richard. "No." One of the other board members, Patricia Drummond, who'd been with the firm since its founding, spoke up. "Thomas, are you certain? This is your son we're discussing." "I'm aware." Thomas's voice was steady. "But David's right. We have to choose between family sentiment and company survival. I'm choosing survival." The vote was unanimous. Afterward, Richard pulled me aside. "You know he'll never forgive you for this." "I know, but I'm not doing it to him. I'm doing it for everyone else who works here and deserves leadership that's earned, not inherited." Cold comfort when you're facing him at family dinners. "We don't do family dinners anymore." Richard nodded slowly. "That's probably wise." Emily was waiting in the hotel when I got back. "How did it go?" "I'm the new COO. Philip's out, completely." She sat down on the bed. "How do you feel?" "Tired, relieved, guilty." "You shouldn't feel guilty." "But I do, because part of me is happy that he's facing consequences, and that's not who I want to be." She took my hand. "You're human. You're allowed to feel satisfaction when someone who hurt you faces justice." Is it justice, or is it revenge? Does it matter? The result is the same, a company that's functional instead of a family disaster. I sat beside her. "Your dad wants us to come to dinner tomorrow. Just the 4 of them. Him, your mother, you, me. No Philip. Do you want to go? I don't know. Part of me wants to decline out of principle, but part of me thinks maybe we need to try to rebuild something. Then let's try. Not for them, for us. So we know we gave it a real chance. The dinner was awkward. Margaret was overly polite, Thomas overly conciliatory. They asked about London, about Emily's studies, about the weather, anything but the real conversation. Finally, over dessert, Thomas said, "Philip's moving to California, taking some time to figure out what's next." "That's good," I said. "Change of scenery might help." "He's angry, at me, at you, at the entire situation." "I understand." "Do you? Because you've effectively exiled my son from his own family's company." Emily's voice was sharp. "Dad, don't." "Don't what? Acknowledge the reality?" "Philip made mistakes, yes, but David's been strategically dismantling his position since Christmas. First the board inquiry, then the UK success story, now the COO position. It's been a masterclass in corporate warfare." "It's been a masterclass in survival," I said quietly. Philip suspended my career over a lie. I found a way to protect myself. Everything after that was consequence, not strategy. You could have been more merciful. I could have. But then I'd still be the person everyone walks over, because being merciful is more important than being respected. I set down my fork. "Thomas, I appreciate everything you've done for me. I do. But I won't apologize for refusing to be destroyed quietly. If that makes me ruthless, so be it." Margaret spoke up, her voice softer than her husband's. "He's not asking for an apology. He's asking if you feel anything at all about what happened to Philip." "I feel relief that I'm not Philip. I feel sadness that he put himself in this position. I feel frustration that we're having this conversation instead of Philip taking responsibility for his own actions." I looked at Emily. "And I feel grateful that your daughter chose to see the truth instead of the comfortable lie." Emily squeezed my hand. The dinner ended shortly after. We drove back to the hotel in silence. "That was brutal," Emily said. "Yeah, but necessary. Maybe." She turned to face me. "David, I need you to hear this. Whatever happens with my family, whatever bridge we burn or build, I'm on your side, not theirs, not some middle ground. Yours. You shouldn't have to choose. But I did, and I chose you. So stop waiting for the other shoe to drop. Stop waiting for me to regret it. I don't. I won't." I pulled her close. "I love you. I love you too. Even when you're being ruthless. Especially then. Especially then." 6 months later, I was back in London, sitting in my office overlooking the Thames. The UK division had just closed its most profitable quarter in 5 years. The integration with the US office was seamless. My team was thriving. Emily walked in with 2 coffees, her graduate thesis under her arm. She'd defended it the week before, something about organizational psychology and family business dynamics. I suspected I featured heavily in her case studies. "Thomas called," she said, handing me a cup. "Wants to know if we're coming back for Thanksgiving." "Are we?" "I don't know. Are we ready for that?" I thought about the last 6 months, the way we'd rebuilt our marriage in London away from the pressure of her family, the way we'd learned to be partners instead of me being a Hutchinson-adjacent accessory, the way Emily had found her own identity separate from her family's expectations. "Maybe," I said, "but on our terms. One day, hotel, no extended stay. And if Philip's there, then we'll be civil, and then we'll leave." She smiled. "Look at you, setting boundaries. Learned from the best." "Damn right you did." My phone buzzed. Another email from Thomas, this one with an attachment, the Q3 financial report. Revenue was up across both offices. Client retention had stabilized. The firm was healing. At the bottom of the email, a single line, "Thank you for not giving up on us entirely." I showed Emily. "Are you going to respond?" she asked. Eventually, when I figure out what to say. You could say, "You're welcome." That feels insufficient. Then say, "I'm glad we found our way back." That's true, isn't it? Is it? Are we back? Emily set down her coffee and sat on the edge of my desk. We're somewhere new, not back. Forward. Together. Outside the window, boats moved down the Thames. The city hummed with afternoon energy. Somewhere in Connecticut, Philip was starting over. Somewhere else, Thomas was running the company he'd almost lost. And here, in this office, in this city, in this life we'd chosen, Emily and I were building something that belonged only to us. Not perfect, not unmarked by the battle it took to get here, but ours. "Forward sounds good," I said. "Then that's where we'll go." She kissed me, tasting like coffee and hope, and for the first time since Christmas Eve, I believed that we'd actually make it. Not because we'd won, but because we'd survived. And sometimes that's the same thing.